Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I got to tell you, man, I just got to watching Game 7 of the Heat and the Celtics series, and I got to tell you guys that was music to my ears. Every shot hit by the Miami Heat was string music. Every brick shot by the Celtics was percussion. It was music to my ears to see the Boston Celtics get so close yet so far from 18. Yeah, it's nice. Caleb Martin looked like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tracy McGrady, some variation of that. I don't know what got into this dude, but he looked like one of the best shot makers ever down there on that Boston floor. That defense the Boston Celtics was playing was not very good. And the three-point shooting was just horrific. 9 of 42, I think, is what the Celtics ended up with. Just horrifying. But, yeah, I just wanted to come here and just come here with humble energy because my Lakers got swept. But at the end of the day, I mean, as a Laker fan, you can't really appreciate seeing the Celtics lose any better than this. To be down 0-3 to start the series or all the way back just to get blown out at home. First of all, I don't know who picked Heat in 7 to start this series, but it took the most improbable path. And, yeah, Jimmy Butler delivered. He said he was going to be back here last year, and he's back here. He is back. His team is here, and they've done it without Oladipo, without Tyler Hero. And I just have to tip my hat to the Miami Heat for putting it together and keeping a roster together that, frankly, I never believed in. But these guys are turning into something, man. Some of the best shot makers out there. I've mentioned the Detroit Pistons that won the championship against my Lakers back in 04, I believe it was. That team had a bunch of guys that you didn't know of before the series, but by the time they finished winning the championship, you knew of all of those guys, and they went on to have bigger careers from there. Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, those guys, they were who they were beforehand, but once they won that championship, you saw them differently. Tayshaun Prince. I think the Miami Heat could potentially be in that space right now with a couple of their guys, man. When you consider what's going on there with, Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin. I mean, I just think we're going to have to look at these guys differently from here on out by the way they're playing right now. Some of the shots that they're hitting, a guy like Caleb Martin is a free agent. He's going to make some money this offseason. You know what I mean? So these are the type of things you look at. And, as a Laker fan, I'm considering what shot making really means when what's happening out there is basically two teams that have fantastic shot makers meeting in the finals. Maybe that gives you a premium look at maybe desiring one of those type of players that you see in the draft at that range. I think about guys that are just known for hitting shots in this particular draft, like Bryce Sensabaugh, from what I understand. A guy like Jet Howard comes to mind. Keontae George, another shot maker. Just so many different guys. Grady Dick. They got so many guys in this draft that fit that mold that should be able to be expert shot makers, that it should translate the same way that these guys like, Caleb Martin and guys like that. You think about some of the guys in the past that have had that role, like J.R. Smith and several other guys at different positions like Robert Horry. You just expect to hit shots, and it really does come down to who has ice in their veins down the stretch of these games, who can execute in such a way that makes it so that your team has the edge. And brick shots is what knocks you off. Teams that are inefficient, guys who don't have those go-to scorers, guys who don't have those switchable, mechanic go-to guys, they really don't have the shot making necessary down the stretch. You need your Porters, you need your Murrays, you need expert scorers at the end of the day. So you can see a premium on some of these dudes who are profiling that way. You could start to see that teams are going to want to desire having them on their team even more. And these type of guys are going to probably go sooner in the draft. Jordan Hawkins, guys like that, who it's known for shooting the ball and known for just knocking it down when it matters most. And so, that's just something I'm sensing here. The Miami Heat have really shown us that these guys that they got can hit these shots. And, a guy like Kyle Lowry comes in and gives them just enough off the bench to make it work. Duncan Robinson, seeing him make plays on the defensive side as well as hitting threes on the offensive end is just a testament to how much patience he's displayed in his career and how much he's worked on his game after being paid and basically benched for several years. You got to love how he's showing up big in these playoffs when really they've been kind of reduced to using the guys that they're using. And I wonder if it's going to have a reverse effect when they do try to work Tyler Hero back into this series in the finals. If he doesn't hurt what it is that they have going on, which is some magic ingredient that otherwise wouldn't be there if they just didn't have all these injuries. I don't know that I just don't play him if I'm coach, or if for some reason he struggles even a little bit, I don't continue to go with the guys that are going hard. Because Caleb Martin, the way he's playing right now, I mean, there's no way I'm benching him for anybody. I'm not benching him for a soul the way he played tonight. And so you just got to respect that. And, of course, Jimmy Butler, you got to give him his credit, hitting threes tonight. You know, he's been kind of hesitant to shoot the ball over the last 3 games, which is also why they haven't really done as well. But came into this Boston Celtic arena and really was aggressive tonight and laid it all on the line. And so you got to give credit where credit's due. And then, of course, you got to say something about the turnovers that the Boston Celtics had. And you talk about Jaylen Brown. I think he turned the ball over 8 times or 8 times. I don't know what it ended at, but that's ridiculous, man. And the inefficiency that he displayed, I'm wondering if this is the last game we see of him in Boston. Man, at the end of the day, it's the same problem he had last year in the playoffs, the same problem he had this year. His handle just needs to improve. He can't just chill. He's going to have to work on his ball handling in the offseason and continue to do so because it's a major problem. It's been a big problem for him in his career, and I see it every playoffs. He's a big part of why the ball tends to go the other way. It's because of how easy it is to get it from him. So he's got to work on that. And that's pretty much my take. You know, obviously we're talking about the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets, an NBA Finals matchup that has obviously never taken place before. The Denver Nuggets have never been there. The Miami Heat have been to the finals many times, as we've known, probably about 5 or 6 times at this point in their tenure. And, of course, we know they were there just a couple of years ago because they saw us in the bubble. So I think that the chances of them winning this series aren't very high, given what I've known about Jokic and learned about Jokic from the last series with my Lakers. It's going to be hard to stop him. The reality is they have shot makers just like Caleb Martin, just like Gabe Vincent. They, too, have their version of that, and Porter and Murray is already stated. And, of course, Bruce Brown and several other guys, Gordon, who are also going to make plays for their team. And so I got Denver probably winning that series in about, well, I'll break it down a little further as the things progress. But I do have Denver winning the championship. But, you know, we can doubt Jimmy all we want on this channel, but at the end of the day, he's made us look foolish each and every time. And that is a very, very serious thing to think about when talking about the coaching battle in the series. Just having my mind kind of skip away into what is going to be going down there between Spoelstra and Mike Malone. I just think could be epic. I think that could be really epic, and could tell the story just the same. So I think coaching is going to be huge. Defense is going to be interesting because the Denver Nuggets don't really play defense that much, but when they do put their head down and try to make plays on the defensive end, they've proven to be very successful. So shot making, man. Shot making, and that's what it's going to be about. Who is going to out efficiency whom in this series? I think the team that shoots better may actually win this series. And so Jokic, like I said, he's a big deal to have to deal with. But Bam is a defensive center who they will have to, you know, kind of throw at him and hope for the best. You know, 3-point shooting is huge when you consider what the Miami Heat have down there. Denver Nuggets have to be very careful with their 3-point shooters because the Lakers didn't really shoot the ball that well. Phoenix only had like 2 guys really looking to score at all. And, you know, obviously Minnesota was depleted. This is going to be the best shooting team that they've run into thus far. You're talking about guys like the guys that have already been mentioned, and of course, Kevin Love is who comes to mind. And, you know, Kyle Lowry shooting the ball. So I just think that when it really comes down to it, this is a shot maker series. And I'm actually looking very much forward to it, to seeing how these two teams match up with one another. It's not a matchup that you're ever going to see on ABC. So it's just a treat to see two teams that you absolutely never thought you'd see in the finals going up against one another at random. You know, it's kind of like what we saw with the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks. It really is kind of fresh to see new teams in place. It really is. And so I don't know if the NBA shuns this or welcomes this, but as a fan of the sport who really doesn't care if their ratings work out for them or not, I like this a lot. And I think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for the overall expansion of the league in terms of people's interest in these teams and in the overall league. It doesn't hurt to have new teams pop up and just be relevant for a change, especially ones that we really haven't seen dominate over the decades. You know what I mean? We've had a Warrior era, we've had Spurs era, Lakers, Celtics, but we've never had a Nuggets championship. We've never seen the Nuggets on the big stage. So who knows what that looks like, how that ultimately will pan out for the league as a whole, when two markets that you don't expect to see meet up with one another get a chance to see one another, and they still get the Miami market in the process. So they're not all the way outside of big market energy here. So it should be exciting. I think it's going to be a tale of two very, very different styles. And yeah, it should be fun to watch. Should be fun. I don't think the Miami Heat are going to be rolled over. Not at all. I think the Denver Nuggets are going to have to fight hard as heck to beat this team. And I would not be surprised if Miami does win the series, honestly, just based on how much overachieving Miami has done and just how much heart they've displayed, how many different ways they've won, and how much experience they have. They do have more experience in this Denver Nuggets team. In fact, a lot of it. So I think that could also tell the story. So, as Laker fans, we know how close them Denver games were when we played against them. Even though they swept us, we had chances to win all those games. If we would have had some better shot making, we think we would have won those series. Miami has that shot making. So we will break down this series. I might talk myself into picking Miami when this is all said and done, but I'm still going to go with the Denver Nuggets because I think they just, at the end of the day, have the best player overall in the series in Nikola Jokic. So, yeah. We'll talk a little more about it. I think I'm going to be more interested in this series than I was in the Celtics and the Heat. I just, Denver has caught my eye, but I still worry for them in regards to just how few players they actually want to use. I think that may have hurt the Boston Celtics in the end, when you consider how guys were looking out there in the Celtics uniform. They just didn't have a whole lot they could use to back them up throughout the course of the series, and it looked like they were a little gassed to me, injuries and stuff like that. I still think Denver, you do not want to be in a situation where you roll an ankle or two. Miami's already been playing without a lot of what it is that they're used to, so they can withstand injury just the same the way they do things. Next man up, no matter what. I don't know Denver's like that. So health is going to tell the story with this series. Obviously, Denver's been resting for almost seemed like a month. With the Lakers being swept and this thing going the distance. But all in all, I think that could also play in Miami's hands to a different degree, because when you consider rhythm and how long it can be when you haven't played, or rather how bad it can be for you when you're trying to work your way off that the rust that comes with just not playing for 7, 8, 9 days, or however long it's been for Denver. So for me, I look at that and I say, it just depends on what type of team Denver is that can handle that type of thing. I remember a lot of Laker teams that I used to watch back in the day. If you give them 10 days off, they're going to come out cold in that first game, but eventually throughout the course of the series, they'll find their rhythm. So we'll see, man. Denver, Miami. I think that's going to be a fresh series. I have no idea what those two teams even look like. I don't know if I've ever seen the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat ever play an exhibition game before in my life. So this should be interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much my thought, man. I don't really know what else to say. I was pleased to see the Celtics ultimately lose and get beaten in that fashion. Their fans are miserable. The arena was quiet. Lucky is a loser, and it's a wonderful thing as a Laker fan. Even though we got swept, I would rather get swept than to have my heart ripped out of my chest after trying to make history and ultimately falling flat on my own home floor. Yeah, no, I'll take my fate any day. Quick and painless. We were certain we weren't better than the other team. Never had a chance. Never thought we did. Y'all, Celtics fans, yeah, I'm going to be praying for y'all for real, because this is the type of stuff make you wonder if you ever want to be a fan of your team again. But all in all, as a Laker fan, we just happy you didn't get anywhere closer to 18, man. That's what it really comes down to. As long as you ain't get it, we can live with not getting it. That's just how it has to be. Video 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.